evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Mahoning Drive-In Theater, the largest single-screen drive-in in the United States. We're certainly glad you could be with us this evening, and don't forget the concession stand is open with all kinds of great things to eat and drink. .3 Mahoning Drive-In Radio, your old friend Virgil back once again for another exciting episode of the podcast. As you guys know, the only podcast dedicated to the love and revival of our beloved drive-in culture, joined as always by my co-host and general manager extraordinaire, Mark. Say hello, my friend.
My air is extraordinary.
We are in the off season. We are preparing to hit the road with the Mahoning Road Show, which will spread the love of, again, our efforts to preserve the drive-in culture and also our preservation efforts when it comes to 35 millimeter and taking it to indoor houses, shining a light on all sorts of cool aspects of the Mahoning, including the programming, including some of the fun merch, which we have some stuff in the pocket, but stay tuned for all that fun stuff. But today, we are going out on the lot, guys. This is a very special episode as we gather most of the lot crew on the podcast at one time. They call themselves the Dragons. Of course, we have our master leader, Dave. Say hello, my friend.
Okie dokie. Well, let's get this lot opened up.
Yeah, baby. We have Darryl, who most of the audience knows from our top 5 episodes from a little while back, but everybody knows and loves Darryl. Darryl, say hello.
The doctor is in.
Yeah, baby. And came to us like a dream from the Pittsburgh area. The great Robert Hood. Say hello, Robert.
How's everyone doing tonight?
So excited to have you guys. And the crown jewel, that's right. We got Donny in the house, who we are planning to do our origin story with both Robert and Donny. But you guys get to meet these dudes right out the gate. Donny, say hello so they know what you sound like.
Hi.
Well played. Well played. Well, we are talking memories and have been going down memory lane over the past couple episodes with our review of 2024. But I'll tell you what, the Lot Crew really shines when they're all together. The aspects of the Lot Crew that I love is truly the camaraderie that these guys have. Dave runs an amazing, amazing ship. I don't know, maybe it's best to kind of have us go around the horn with you guys and talk about just choice memories in general, and then we can kind of hit a structured pace. We do have some questions from the audience as well, right, Mark?
We have several questions from our Patreon members that may or may not break international trade law by answering them, so we're going to save those for the end.
Well, now I'm intrigued.
Oh, no.
You know, it would be really great for the fans, for the audience, is knowing how you guys came into the fold. So why don't we just go around the horn? We'll start with Dave on how you kind of came into the fold and where we're at now, at least in some sort of a tight story. So
I joined the Mahoning family when my managers were Will and John, who unfortunately aren't here with us tonight, but are always here in spirit.
Sorry.
And
Dave, you said the way you said that sounded like they had died and gone.
they're
away.
not dead. No.
Oh, okay, good.
Dead.
I just want to make that clear.
They're very much alive.
Sorry.
Dave, thank you for clarifying that we don't kill you when you leave. You
Not the mom.
you're not, they're buried in the back somewhere.
One of us.
So yes, I was introduced to the Mahoning with those guys as my manager, and I'll tell you, those guys, it was like instant connection, and loved them from the get-go. And even though they put me through a horrible hazing process, I managed to survive and thrive. I managed to survive and thrive through Joe Bob Weekend, another horrible hazing process. And here we are today. I'll give you the short version.
Yeah, I gotta say, we just had you on for the most recent review podcast. So you just talked about some choice memories, but I said it there, I'll say it here. You've been such a gift. And just like I highlighted on that episode, the right people gravitate to the Mahoning in some way or another. So I love hearing these origin stories. But you're right, perfect connection with what we do, with the attitude, and just to give credit where credit's due, besides running the crew, he also does the slideshows every single night up on the screen. And at the beginning of the year, I let you know, like, you do such a great job of capturing that voice, that unique voice that the Mahoning wants to put out there into the world. So thank you for that as well.
Well, thank you for saying that.
And Darryl, I mean, I think all of you guys were fans first, but Darryl, how did we officially get you into the fold?
Okay, briefly, I have to rewind 30,000 miles, 370 movies, back to May 2015. I'm actually coming up on my anniversary of my first weekend at the Mahoning.
Wow.
And it reminds me when I met Dave and I said, I just assumed, oh, he's from Pennsylvania. How do I not know him? And then he tells me my first weekend on the lot was for work, and it just blew my mind. I was like, I just assumed he was like me, had been coming for years, especially if he was local. I'm not local. I'm 400 miles away, a round trip. But anyway, yeah, I had been coming since 2015 to the Mahoning. And you come for the movies, you stay for the family atmosphere. And you just can't, well, when I say family, I don't mean like Disney family, but the cool people and the cool movies. But the great thing about the Mahoning is it attracts talented people. And you find yourself just helping out. So I think those first couple of years, I got to know Mark and Virgil and Matt. And then eventually something would break, or, Virgil would walk by and say, hey, can you plug this thing in? Can you do this? Can you do that? So I think it was 2021, right before Joe Bob, that summer, I just kind of jumped in line and helped out somewhere. And then next thing you know, he's like, yeah, I'll volunteer for the Joe Bob Briggs show, which we'll talk about, I guess.
I think, those war stories will come up naturally.
Yeah. The Woodstock, it was the Woodstock of drive-in shows.
Yeah, but that would make sense. 2001. I went through and I've been trying to get our letterboxed updated with the screenings. And in 2019, before we hit the pandemic, we were only open Fridays and Saturdays. The fact that we took such a big stride into the Tuesdays and the Sundays, and then beyond that, during the pandemic, when we started doing all these specialty events on Thursdays as well as the Tuesdays, it's bonkers. So our average, I think, was closer to like 75 films a year, and we jumped up to 200 average. So you've been such a blessing as well. And I think back to those early years, and it is still an all for one Little Rascals effort. But you're right. Like, when it was a tight knit crew and we were kind of growing, anybody that, like, I recognized their face, it was like, hey, are like, could you help us out? Or we're in a bind. It was just such a beautiful team effort with really nothing was in the mix. It was, everybody was there for cheeseburgers. Everybody was there for movies. That was it, it's worth mentioning because you brought up the mileage. Dave, where do you come in from, and how far or how long does it take you to get to the Mountie?
I come in from Harrisburg, so that's about an hour and a half, hour, 40 minutes.
Incredible. Darryl?
It's about a 3.5 to 4 hour drive, 400-mile round trip. I think I'm the furthest north. It used to be Mark back when he was in New Hampshire, but now I'm the default northern regular.
Emperor of the North, as it were?
Yeah.
Yes, I'll take that.
And what's your area? You officially like upstate New York?
Yep, upstate New York, Albany area. Yep.
And the great Robert Hood, welcome, my friend. I guess that's a preface. I think you have the longest drive now.
It's 4.5 hours. It's a 514-mile round trip.
My dude. I
Yeah.
fucking love that. See, that's the dedication that we got. Like, people listening are like, oh my gosh. Yeah, that's where we're at, you know? This place is a magnet for creatives, like Darryl said. It's a magnet for just the experience of cinema, as Dave always mentioned and mentioned on the last podcast. But it's also an incredibly therapeutic lot. Like, coming together is really the highlight, I think, for a lot of us. Just finding our quote unquote second family and having a place to go and, get away from real life. That constant escape. But Rob, why don't you give the people a little backstory on how you came to be?
I found out about the drive-in during the pandemic. I saw the documentary on Amazon Prime, and I'm watching that. I'm like, oh, Pennsylvania. Because, of course, they're in the same state as me. They can't be that far away. Of course, I look it up the first time, and I'm like, oh, well, this will be a thing. I got to make a road trip out there sometime.
Yeah.
And then you guys announced in 2021, it was the Go Ape event, the Planet of the Apes, all 5. And I'm like, I can't miss that. So I make the drive out. First thing that goes on, I get there, and I'm setting up my tent. And Virgil, you were just walking the back row, and you just stopped and said hi to me, like, hey, I don't think I've ever seen you here before. How you doing?
Yeah.
And it was like, all right. Like, just, like, I wasn't expecting to really talk to people.
Yeah, they're friendly around these parts.
But, like, it was definitely, like, I made friends like that first night, and I'm like, wow, this is going much better than I thought I would. I have very severe social anxiety, so I was like, okay, I'm going to watch the movies, I'm going to enjoy them, and I'm going to stay out of everyone's way.
Mm-hmm.
That is not what happened. I was talking to everyone because everyone was just so friendly. And then, like, throughout the back end of the 2021 season, myself and my wife, we made it up to like 2 more shows. And I'm like, okay, I really want to go to the season opener for 2022.
Yes.
So I got up there. I had joined the Patreon. I got up there for the Simplex showing, and everyone was hanging around. We're talking. And then guys just needed some help setting up some stuff for Willy Wonka the next night. So I was like, hey, do you guys need a hand? And that led to, like, I was helping out with the photo ops and stuff for a bit. And then started talking to Dave, started helping out with the Lot Crew stuff. And then come 2023, I'm a member of the Lot Crew.
We made it official. And I remember it was such a beautiful connection and decision, I guess, to officially bring you on board, because selling it to Jeff, it was like, I mean, like, he's driving how far? That seems crazy. I'm just like, I mean, this means as much to him as it does all of us. This is more than just a quote unquote job. And, it was one of the best decisions we ever made, as a lot of these kind of fate decisions have turned out to be. But thank you as well. I mean, again, that dedication is just crazy.
Oh, absolutely. I can't thank you guys enough for having me. Like, just, I found my tribe at the Mahoning, and it's great.
I love it. And Donny, I always say it, those late nights on the lot, being that somebody needs to be around for the overnighters. And Donny, you come in a great distance as well. You're not around the corner. How long does it take you to come in? You're Jersey.
Well, I come from Anchorage, Alaska.
People really love this place.
He walks the whole way.
Don't believe anything Donny says.
Uphill both ways through the snow.
8,548-mile round trip.
That's why he needs the van. He stores all his provisions in there for the drive. He doesn't stop. Not a single stop between home and there.
That's right. It's dedication.
I'm from Bedminster, New Jersey, a little bit south of Morristown, a little bit north of Bridgewater. It's about an hour and a half, like I don't know, 70 miles ish.
You're about the same as I am as far as distance goes. Hour and a half is usually my run as well. And, just like me, the decision to kind of stay and, instead of driving back and forth, sometimes that is the move. But from your memory, how did you become connected officially on the Lot Crew?
I don't know. I started coming the very end of 2022. I came to the Hateful Eight. It was the very tail end of Tarantino A Go Go. I remember I loved it, aside from the porta potties, which I just assumed. I was like, I hope they don't always smell this
We were
bad.
still finding our
Oh, God.
And then I came back every Saturday until we closed. And then when 2023 came around, about like 2 months into the season, I noticed a lot of the times it was
Yes.
just Dave. So I found myself asking, well, if he has to be over there, how is he going to take out this garbage? So I just kind of started doing it. And then after another like 3 weeks, I think he caught me doing it and was like, that was you?
You're the phantom trash guy?
I thought raccoons were eating it.
Dude, I would go do trash
So
checks and it
after
was just
that,
gone.
basically-
So many mysteries revealed here.
So basically, I did that for a bit, and then you asked me a couple times to work like the parking lot for bigger shows, and then I did that. So all of 2023 was basically just trash and helping people park, and then doing my own thing. And then this year, I started working the gate and being an actual employee.
Yeah, and again, such a blessing. The way that this crew kind of comes together and has been created, it's, as you guys can see, they're from all different walks, all different areas, and it's just kind of perfect synergy. That happens a lot though, like the needing extra hands for our big events, because before we kind of found our stride, it was very much like, okay, we have the lighter events and then we have these big banger events that we need to have just extra hands to do. So we relied heavily upon guys like you to be like, hey, can we just have you help? And I should mention, Dave, do you want to give a shout out to some of your other volunteer crew?
Before we go to volunteer crew, there's also Bruno, who isn't.
Yep.
He came on staff this year as well, and he's been great. He's kind of our Thursday night guy, loves Thursday nights. So it's fantastic. He covers the Thursday nights and loves that crowd, and love having him on the crew. Bruno's like just a great addition. And then of course there's Alex, there's Dave Wright, Tall Dave.
Oh, Dave, yeah.
As some people like to call him.
Tiny Dancer Dave would be the other Dave. That's how we distinguish the two Daves.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I guess
And
Tiny Dancer doesn't like that. Okay.
And then there's Rich, who is the lot commando. I mean, you can put him on the front dumpster job where the people come in, and he runs a tight ship. I mean, he is parking them and directing. It's truly an amazing thing to watch, and he usually does it shirtless too, which
With a winter cap, right? Doesn't he have that Russian hat? It's a weird mix.
Big old
shirtless
Russian fur cap.
puts that big Russian fur cap on. Listen, if that dude walked over to my car and told me to park, I would park my damn car and get the hell out of it and not say another word for the rest of the night.
I think Nikolai Volkov just told me to turn my headlights off.
Oh my God, that's so true. That's it.
Amazing. Didn't think you were going to get a Volkov ref tonight, you guys. Well, buckle up. I got to say, it is magic to watch you guys work together, knowing the experience that these customers get as soon as they hit that gate. They are met with such passionate and kind-hearted, and as you guys probably can tell, hilarious characters that make up this lot crew. So, Mark, we could go into favorite memories. Do you think that's the move, or should we go into some questions that probably lead into said memories.
Well, if we want to start with the questions, and then it can just be a free-for-all fracas after that. Because, see, I've been hearing Lot Crew stories all season, and I always say, write that down. Remember that for when we do the podcast. There's a lot of them, and I have a feeling like once we get to that point, all I have to say is, tell us about jumping cars. And there's probably a good 45 minutes there. So let's go with these questions from the Patreon members. Wayne Q, aka Q Dog, says, first one for all who have been on the gate. What is the craziest thing you have been offered to let someone in when they show up for a sold out show?
Oh my god.
Second one for Gate Lot and others. Who has the most awesome stickered car at the Mahoning?
Well, I mean, obviously the second one is Wayne. Good on you, buddy.
I don't know if you can even see what color the car is. I think it's more sticker holding.
It's more sticker than car.
Yeah, and
he inspired me.
And you can just keep layering those, and eventually that car will never decay. Underneath that is like sealing.
Yeah, UV protected.
It's like if you cover the car in truck bed lining, it's just going to keep it together.
Completely.
So what was the wildest thing, or have you had that? Have you, because you guys have to deal, I always say to you guys,
oh yeah,
when I know we're sold out or we're going to be sold out and people are going to show up anyway, I always say, get ready to break some hearts tonight. So number one, how do you guys deal with people showing up for a sold out show who want to get in, and then extrapolate from there? Have you been offered bribes, I guess, to get in?
I'm dying to hear this. What other people got bribed with?
It really depends. Like some of our sold out shows, it's like they're real sold out. Like we've got people packed in here. We've got somebody, like we've had some definite like, hey, we got to stop selling tickets shows. And then we got some of the sold out shows where it's like, you know, we can get some people in. And then it's very much based on whether you drive up with an attitude or not.
I think that's true. I think it's the nicer you are, the harder we're going to try to get you in there.
Like, look, if you drive up and it's like, hey, we just realized it's sold out. Like, we didn't know. Is there any possible way we could get in? I'm going to try to help you. If you come up and you're like, yeah, I saw you're sold out, but you're going to sell me a ticket. No. No, I'm not.
Now, what you don't get entirely here is that at the gate, there's also a good cop, bad cop thing, because Robert will always be like, no, we are what he is hardline. And then like if they're nice to him or nice in general, he'll go, Dave, what do you think? And then I'm the pushover because I go, yeah, man. So it's good cop pushover. I don't
look. You gotta have that line. Because some people will just walk right over it.
That's true. Well, it sets the standard at the gate, you know? Truly keepers of the gate.
But yeah, I mean, I agree with Robert. The key to getting in is don't roll up with an attitude and don't cop one. I've had people say, well, what would it take? How much would it take?
Yeah.
And I'm like, money is not my point. There's lots more.
Yeah, we don't want to jam you in here and give you the worst experience. There's a reason that we sell out. Well, people know that you are a lover of Moxie. How many times have you been given Moxie at the gate, Dave?
As a bribe? Never. And that's insulting.
Maybe
that really is insulting.
Yeah. Right.
But as just a, hey, Dave, that's happened. Yes, actually.
I'm trying to remember. The big one was like one of the zombie fests. We had some dude pull up. And he just like looked at me. He's like, look, I got to go get all this stuff signed to sell. What's it going to take to get in? Do you want one of the autographs? I'm like, nah, man, that's we're sold out. Like, I got to ask you to turn around. He's like, look, I don't even want to stay for the movies. I'm like, well, then I'm not giving you a spot for people who do. 10 minutes later, the guy comes up in a different car.
Amazing.
With someone who has a ticket. He has now moved all of his stuff into this car. And he's like, look, my buddy's got a ticket, so you might as well sell me one. And I'm just like,
you got me.
And I'm like, well, you
back
know what?
Into a corner.
I'm like, I sold him the ticket, and afterwards he walked out with like this big old Rubbermaid tub full of stuff he'd gotten signed to sell. I remember this specifically because he walked out and said, "I appreciate your business." And I'm like, you, you, I will remember you till the day I die.
How about you, Donnie? Ever been offered anything weird at the gate?
Not really. I mean, when it's a sold out show, I'm usually parking people, and I'm usually the one doing the weird things.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. You can't outdo Donnie's weirdness. So,
There was the one show when Bruno gave me a bunch of cat food for the cats because I ran out, and customers were like, "Why are you carrying a bag of cat food while you're parking cars?"
Like, this is my thing.
That's my thing.
In case I get hungry.
Don't judge my choice of snacks.
Yeah, I mean, it's healthy. The cats eat it.
That's right.
Packed with protein.
Yeah, Donnie has been the sort of self-appointed cat manager, cat wrangler on the lot this year. Every year
Cat
we
whisperer. Yes.
Stray cats find their way there. They know that the eating is good for 6 months out of the year. And we want to see them, survive. And he had quite a stockpile of cat food and bowls and water dishes up front this year.
Like they slowly learn that Donnie's the guy to go to.
You got that big heart when it comes to those animals. It's like people, it's maybe a different story, but they got the furry and 4 legs. He's in.
Which is a nice segue to our love of dogs. And all animals, but especially dogs.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. You guys can probably say it. Like, do you just get a thrill when a dog is in the car and pops his head out?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Grab a treat. They're getting the whole bowl, whatever they want. Yeah.
Especially the ones that surprise you when you go to take tickets.
Yeah, where they come out of nowhere. You're like, well, hello.
Oh, yeah. Like, they just want to be right up in you. They want to be your friend right then and there.
Was that a thing before or when you came in, Dave, or did you start that with the dog treats?
I started that.
That's awesome. It's very cool.
Yeah, because I started I saw how many dogs we were getting, and I'm like, oh, come on, I can't not give a
can't deny them, yeah.
Yeah, I can't not give a dog. Now a complete shout out and kudos to Donny for coming up with the raffle this season.
Oh,
yes.
That was his baby.
Why don't you tell that story, Donnie? Was that just come out of the fact that there are so many dogs there on Thursdays and Sundays?
No, there's one dog that comes usually on Thursdays.
By himself?
Yeah, he just rolls up.
He drives?
The shaggy dog.
I'm pretty sure his name is Farinvey, but he has a very strict diet, so we can never give him the treats at the gate.
Yeah.
Aw.
So I brought like a stuffed animal to give him, and then I didn't see him for a while, so I gave it to this big bull mastiff that I saw. And the people were just like really happy that I gave the dog a toy. So I thought, I'll just buy a bunch of toys and we can raffle them off. But Thursdays and Sundays would be slower because it's like, for a sold out show, do you really want to deal with raffle tickets on top of calendars and handouts and rules? So yeah, that's how that happened.
Yeah, and it's been such a great addition. I think it's such a perk that you can come and share the experience with your furry friend, or as I like to say, bring all the members of the family.
Can we mention that snipe, the kitty and puppy snipe? Intermission stores.
Well, super fans will know when you say puppy and kitty reel.
Yeah, because along with Rico's, the other popular favorite that people would go ape shit crazy about was that snipe with the puppies and the kitties, and people would start screaming and yelling and beeping the horns because they're so adorable. And I remember talking to Jeff about it, and he cracked me up. He just didn't understand why people are going so nuts over those.
I know, the whole crew ran with it, and it always tickled him. He'd always go, "The puppies and the kitties, the puppies and the kitties." He'd like mock the excitement for the puppies and kitties. But it's such a weird juxtaposition to be like, all right, cheeseburgers, the front half of that reel is like an intermission reel. It's like burger, pizza, fries, soda, and then all of a sudden
And
Right turn.
this goofy music too in the background. It's got
Yeah,
this,
which
like,
is our
elevator
music bed on the pod. Yeah. It plays in my dreams as well.
I have to mention what Jeff said though.
Yeah.
When I asked him and he said he didn't understand it, I still remember him saying, he's like, those puppies and kitties are long gone. They're stone dead. The
He's
way
like, if they only knew. They only thought about it for a second. They're cheering for a
stone
bunch of dead.
He did say that over the
Right.
radio one night.
Did he?
He was projecting
Oh,
coming out of
hey.
intermission.
Oh my god.
He said they're just bones now.
They're
That's so
like
Jeff.
Hammer film. They're stone dead.
Perfect. That's a great question, Q Dog. And we love you, Q Dog. We really do. Q Dog, just like you guys, have found your way to the lot, found your family and your people on the lot. Q Dog's a great example of a customer as well who has found their place. He's there more nights than not.
Wow, cool.
Michael Schilling asks, what is the most unexpected thing you have either witnessed or encountered on the lot?
Oh
Probably a
boy.
long list. Just
Oh god.
What? Oh
Huh.
my god.
the most unexpected thing you have either witnessed or encountered on the lot. Now, most of the great stories about such things I get from you guys. So I know you've got some stuff there.
I noticed that the person didn't say that we've done. It's something we've witnessed, not something we did.
Yes.
Well, obviously we're the ones that have to deal with the stuff.
Right. When stuff goes down, those radios go off. It's only the lot crew that is expected to handle it.
Well,
So,
Oh
you guys,
no, that's not what I was trying to say. But
speaking of radios, I have a story talking about going into the hazing portion of being on the lot crew. Normally, near the end of the night, especially on cold nights, I would go in and get my hot chocolate from Mama Cheeseburger. And this time of night, I think it was a Trauma weekend, Trauma Fest, Traumathon 2023. I had taken a little nap and I was like, well, I can't miss this last film. So I set an alarm on my phone, make sure, had the radio ready. I heard the radio before the alarm went off. And I said, I better go in. So I went in thinking I'm just going to pick up my chocolate and see if someone needs a jump or whatever.
late night, yeah.
And it was Beth, and I think it was Beth, Zoe, and Crystal. And they were huddled around this radio at the snack bar. And I'm bleary eyed. And I'm in there to get my chocolate and just say, okay, who needs a jump? And they're like, no, you got to go in the back corner of the lot. Somebody said they're going to piss on Virgil. And I did like a triple take. I'm like, what?
I love the whisper down the lane that's what it got to.
Phenomena? I was like, what? And my head was like a cartoon whistle at the ears, and it was like a Warner Brothers cartoon. I'm like, somebody said they were going to piss on Virgil? What?
Oh,
So-
that's amazing.
So I went back there. I'm sure you can tell part of the story.
Yeah, it's like, what can we tell? Yeah. The
yeah,
situation, that was a great night with you, Darryl. It was one of those nights where I was just like, this is my dude. He's got my back.
I'm like, I better go out there and see what's going on.
Yeah.
I
Donny-
think that's when I first met Donny too. Donny.
Yeah, I
showed
was
up.
going to say,
Right.
that was like the early years where Donnie really rose to the top with everybody kind of knowing who he was. This was before he was officially. I guess that was your Phantom Trash man year.
Yeah, I took one for the team that night.
You sure did. You
Who
sure
wants
did.
to, who
Yeah,
wants to
Trauma can
complete
get
that
weird.
story?
That was the night.
That really was a night. Well, I can say, that it was involved a customer that felt well. Yeah, we'll just we'll save that for the future.
The statute of limitations.
Yes.
Oh, okay, so we're gonna end it at that. Okay.
Yeah, the people are going to be guessing, baby.
Now, I did this year during the same event. This was the year that someone mistook me for a ghost.
Yes.
What?
I mean, that happens. The old, you're a ghost. I thought you were a ghost.
Yeah, it's like this.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to get. The shows, late nights, multiple days, like things get weird. Things get weird.
Well, that was the night that like the fog had descended. Was it the first night or the second night that it just got so? I think it was the first night.
I believe the fog was the first night.
Yeah, because it got so bad, literally you couldn't see the screen.
Yeah.
Which, you can voice your opinion on whether that was a good thing or a bad thing. But for that weekend, we wanted to, keep a very close eye on events. So I was walking the back field, and there were these two people sitting in a truck, and they were just really loud. And he's loud and she's laughing, and it's like one of those laughs that just cuts through you, like just
Yeah, I know what you're talking
so
How would you know?
about.
so I walked up on him, and I was looking at a flashlight, and I said, "Hey, just wondering, could you keep it down just a little bit?" And at this point, obviously, they had been enjoying the evening a little bit too long and too much. And he was like, "Whoa, where'd you come from?"
You're like, I'm a person. I'm
And I was like, yeah, I work here, and can you just keep it down a little bit? Like, you just appeared, man. Like you were just. And then her boyfriend's like, "Hey, I think he's trying to tell us we should shut up." And I'm like, "Well, I didn't phrase it quite like that, but listen to him. He's got the general gist."
It's always a
She's like-
fine line. You guys have the hardest job on that front because, we welcome people to come and enjoy the open atmosphere, but it also is a level of respect that some people need to be, told about instead of having a natural barrier and border with the with that.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
fog was the second night because the first night the bus was there and we played movies until the sun came.
Right.
Oh, that's right.
But yeah, I mean, now that's become expected. Let's talk about like unexpected things, like at this point, it's kind of hard because the Mahoning is like, I don't think anything could shock you guys, but maybe some unique experiences.
Yeah, I think at this point, pretty much everything that happens, we just kind of go, "Huh." So I guess we're doing that now, right?
Another day at work.
Night one of Zombie Fest this year. Okay, I guess not night one, but Friday night of Zombie Fest. The dude who got left by his group.
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
yes. And he hung out
Um,
under the screen, and we were like, who's this dude?
So
Yeah.
I remember selling him his ticket because he was super excited to be here. Like that energy he had, that was an all night thing.
Yeah.
Like when he first pulled up, he's just like, "Oh my god, it's a drive-in theater. What are you guys showing?" And I started running through the lineup, like it's Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and Day of the Dead. He's like, "Oh man." Oh wait, no, that was the '90s Dawn of the Dead and Creep Show, and
Right, yes, that's
he's like, yeah, I want to do this. And then I'm like, okay, do you need a general ticket or overnight ticket? And he instantly goes overnight ticket. And the person in the car with him said general. And I was
that should have been the
uh-oh.
dead giveaway.
And I was like, okay. And the other person in the car, she's like, well, we're meeting other people here. So I just instantly assumed, okay, they're camping out. He's meeting them. It's not going to be an issue.
Yeah.
Well, it was an issue.
Yeah, until the sun started coming up, and it was like, well, I think the fun on the screen had ended, and
Mhm.
I guess he woke up underneath the screen and was like, my friends aren't here, and kind of just like questioned, like, where do I go? I can't believe this is happening right now, and being very loud about it.
Yeah, and he was there with his dog.
Yeah,
It's
so
like
it
a
made
dog.
things
I remember
so
I
much
felt real
harder.
bad for the dog.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
The three-legged dog.
Oh my
The
God, that's right, he
three-legged
did.
dog. That's right.
Even worse. But yeah, I remember Donny. What did we do? Give him like cheeseburgers and
Yeah, I
some
gave
waters.
him a cheeseburger, and then he started eating it, and then I was like, okay. And then I went and I had like a nicer cheeseburger I made at home with like really lean ground beef, and I was like, oh, well, I'm just gonna give this one to the dog because he ate that whole one himself.
You selfish bastard. That was for the dog.
Didn't they also they took his wallet too? Because he didn't have a wallet.
Yes, no wallet, keys. Like it was just a whole thing of just like, besides the shoes, thank God that he had, it was like, all right, like what friends are these that you
Yeah.
So when he was buying his ticket, he was looking for his wallet, and he's like, "We must have left it at the rest stop."
Gosh, yeah, it's
so
you get all sorts of types. I remember the one night, it was a different night, but somebody came on a bike. Like
that was the same. That was, I think,
same night.
Either the same night or same weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
the dude rode in on his bike.
Mm-hmm.
It's always the big sellouts. But yeah, at a certain point, it was like, he didn't have a structured place to sleep. I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
I can't be having you just like crash. And he literally was just like, all right, got on his bike and rode out.
Well, you rousted him because he was sleeping under the photo op.
That's right. He grabbed like a chair that we had set up for photos and stuff. I'm just like, yeah, that's not a bed.
Because the thing is, it's not uncommon for us to get people riding bikes in. That's not entirely uncommon, especially in the summer.
Did we have a bike team one year? There was like a whole bunch of people on bikes, I seem to remember.
Yeah, but that was kind of planned, but because they like a crew came early and set like all their tents.
That's
and
right.
Stuff
Yeah.
So it's not uncommon, but so it's like, I'll say a ticket, but it's like I didn't anticipate that you were planning on living here now.
I thought that was a deal. I mean, it's Memorial Day weekend. What's the problem? This isn't what you guys do up here? Yeah, it's always a learning curve, like I say, we're always so lucky. The level of respect that so much of the audience brings to the environment, but it's a learning curve.
We have one more that's pertinent to the Lot Gang. Gene Beretta, award-winning children's book author and illustrator Gene Beretta asks, have you ever found a body part or leftover food that you've eaten?
Oh, that's a level of desperation.
There was the rash 4 weeks in a row of finding shrimp shells in different
somebody was really
spots and different garbage cans. Remember that, Dave?
I am always fascinated by whoever's bringing the shrimp. I don't understand it. I don't know who's bringing the shrimp. And then the thing about it is they always throw the shrimp in one of the cans that has the most heat and sun exposure. It's like I think they walk around and go, yeah, no, this one's not going to hit about 112 degrees.
I want this to knock them over when they take the top off.
Yeah, when they pull the top off of this thing, I want them to feel like it's low tide. Okay.
That is very high class. So that's pinky up material. Where you're like, I brought the shrimp.
Well,
we have to put a sign on the dumpsters because people are just throwing all sorts of weird shit in the dumpsters.
Yeah, I mean on the big nights, people just it's amazing how many people buy things to stay on the lot and then will just leave it or throw it away.
Yeah.
They have no intention at all to be like, yeah, this is mine now and I plan to get the real distance out of it. They're like, nope, got my one night.
I cannot tell you how many tents I've seen just left.
Yeah. We could start a tent.
And they're good tents.
Yeah. Yep.
Chairs are another one too. Mm-hmm. Like they buy chairs and it's like why is this chair here? And it's like, yeah, they're just like, I used it. I'm like what?
Nancy's here. She wanted to say hi to you guys.
Hi guys.
Hey
Nancy.
Good to hear your voices.
Nancy is one of our usual commiserators out there at the gate. She always comes out and visits us. So good.
Always make sure we're doing okay.
Always make sure that we're doing okay.
I've got a couple good Nancy stories.
That's right. Oh, see what you did? You wasn't expecting that. Yeah.
Wasn't she there, Darryl, the one storm where literally the four of us were holding the legs of the pop-up tent?
Yes. She was the eye of the storm with a beer and a koozie, and she made us feel safe. And it felt like we weren't in Kansas anymore. It felt like a tornado was coming through.
That was unbelievable.
And
We
Nancy
were
brought
gonna
the
have rubber
calm.
duck races.
Yeah, it was you bring the calm. But I seem to remember back in the day when Will and John were there, we would have these incredible conversations, the three or four of us, and then Nancy would come around thinking, it's just a bunch of guys shooting a shit about bullshit. And it would be like that scene in Wayne's World with Alice Cooper. We were like talking like in-depth like history or existentialism. It would be
These
like
guys know how to party or what?
it was so weird that Nancy always timed it. She would walk into the strangest conversation you would never hear in a bar. It would be like this really deep shit. And then my favorite story is how she rescued me from either heat stroke or sunstroke or dying on the lot during Joe Bob weekends.
Yeah, that was like, we still talk about that like it was war.
It was.
It is. People reach out from time to time looking for advice, on business or, how to run drive-ins or bigger events and things like that. I'm like, you will find that limit. That limit will find you. It certainly did for us. And like, that was such a learning experience that we had to go through, and also a growth experience we had to go through, which we've repeated over and over again to kind of prove to ourselves that we can do these bigger shows. Fabio is the perfect example for this year. It's like, man, that was a full-on concert.
Oh, yeah. But the Nancy story, briefly, I have to tell again, because to me, my memories of it now are so cinematic. So I was parking cars on Friday for Joe Bob in that miserable heat.
Oh, it was hard.
And I think it was like 2 hours in, and I had my little spiel, go left, do this, do that.
Two on, two off.
Yeah, and I was like, and then it didn't come out like out of my mouth. It sounded like gibberish. Like, blah, blah, blah. Everything was like backwards. I'm like, something's wrong. And I remember I got on the radio and I just said, Virgil, I need help. And Nancy popped out of the little camper. And it was like, it was so funny. It was like in slow motion.
Help is on the way.
It was like an angel, though. She was like beckoning me. And it was almost like that scene in Phantasm with the ice cream truck. Like it seemed like she was in this cool, like the mist was rising out of the door and she's waving, come to me. And so I went into the air-conditioned bliss and passed out. So then like an hour, I don't know how long I was like wiped out with like a bag of ice.
An hour.
Yeah. So I was like, I got to go out there and help the guys. And she's like, no, you're okay. Take care of yourself.
Got to get back out there.
Yeah. That's the attitude.
Meanwhile, on the lot, crew? We're dying. We're dropping like flies. Right. Darryl's sitting in the air conditioning. He's out there.
He's taking a nap.
The story's not over yet. So I'm like, I got to go out there. I can't let the guys down. Now, what I didn't know was by the end of that weekend, of course, is we got let down by a lot of volunteers that disappeared over the weekend. They volunteered for a free ticket and then never were seen again. So I said, okay, I'll give it a little more time. I gotta go. And Nancy's like, well, if you go outside, so I opened the door and there's like this torrential downpour. And it was just like in a movie. And I slammed the door. I'm like, maybe I can wait. and then the guilt got to me. And I said, I gotta go. And she's like, well, if you're gonna go, at least do this. And I'm like, what do you want? What should I do? She's like, take these plastic bags and put them on like
trade,
inside your shoe, like tie them around your socks, and then put your feet in your shoes with the plastic bag. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll keep my feet dry while the rest of me is soaking wet. So I went back out. But yes, thank you, Nancy. For the calm that you bring in the storm and rescuing me from my sunstroke heat stroke.
That weekend was like religious. We got it all. Can you tell the wicker chair story?
Oh, wicker chair story.
I was gonna bring that up. That was one of the weirder nights. I was there for that, and I was over the walkie, and I'm like, what is going on?
Wicker chair. Well, thank God that we got this wicker chair under control, because it would still this wicker chair would still be terrorizing the heightened countryside if it were not for me.
Now I remember.
Well, that was the night that our neighbor pulled up on his lawnmower, not in his truck, not in the ginormous truck. No, it was on his lawnmower, and we were busy. It was like there was lines of people, and he pulled in like he was sitting in the line of traffic to pull in, and he pulls up, and I'm like, what do you like? And he was trying to talk to me. Now, one, he's sitting on his lawnmower, so I can't understand a word he's saying.
Yep.
And two, he's barely legible when he's not anymore. Okay. So he's gibbering at me and I can't hear him. And I'm like, yes, sir. Just pull in here and talk to me. So he got off his mower and came over, and he's raising heck about this chair that somebody this chair that somebody threw in his driveway, and he was sure that it was somebody from the drive-in who threw it there. They threw it there last week, and he moved it, and then somebody came and moved it back. And then tonight he moved it again, and somebody moved it back. So there's a huge conspiracy afoot to mess with this person with a chair. Now, I didn't immediately alert the authorities. I figured, okay,
we'll get to it.
I will.
I'll be right on it.
I'm gonna get right on the chair problem. And he said, well, I'm gonna go to the concession stand. I'm like, okay. I said, but you can't drive your lawnmower across because the movies were playing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can't drive your lawnmower. He's like, well, he looked at me like, well, I wouldn't do that. I'm like, well, you drove it here. I mean, I'm not making any assumptions at this point. So he went into the concession stand, and at that point just proceeded to raise holy heck about this chair.
Oh, yeah.
And poor Beth and poor Sandy, they had no idea what he was talking about. So Sandy calls me and says, Dave, I need you to check out a chair. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So I literally ended up walking up and down the road looking for this chair. Finally found it. And it's like this gigantic wicker chair, like somebody would have on their porch. And I'm like, nobody from the drive-in threw this wicker chair in your lane. And at the same time, if they were going to leave this ginormous wicker chair, they would have just left it on the lot. I can tell you that they wouldn't have hauled it like all
just
the way
to drop it right outside the lot. Yeah.
So at that point, I just said, listen, the easiest path forward here is for me to just drag this chair all the way back and throw it in the dumpster, which I did, thinking that the situation was now resolved. So he came back up to the booth. He was gone by the time we got back because, Darryl, you were there.
Yeah, I had to give him a push on his mower. He had a little problem with the mower.
Jesus. And you said, well, do you want me to go get him and tell him you took it back? I said, no. Just let him go.
We're done.
We're good. I figure he'll figure that out. So a little while later, I see his truck come slowly driving up the road. And I thought, is he looking for that damn chair?
Gotta confirm.
So I walk out and I said, hey, just want to let you know, chair's gone. Took care of it in the dumpster. You'll never see that chair again. He goes, no, I'm not looking for the chair. He said, I bought 2 cans of soda when I came in here and I dropped one on the way back. So I'm driving up and down the road to see if I can find the can of soda that I dropped. And I thought, that's it. I'm done. Checked out. You have
one day we will get that dude on the podcast. 100%.
Oh, no.
Lawnmower Man, you never forget the first
on a special episode. Welcome, Lawnmower Man.
You never forget the first time you see him. You're like, I can't believe I'm seeing this. A man on a lawnmower driving to a drive-in. This makes no sense.
Like
never to see the movie just for dinner.
Yeah. Popcorn and cheeseburgers, and
he knows where the good eats are at. You can't fault him on that.
Well, his dog is in love with Donny, So,
oh God, we all love that dog. That dog.
well,
is
we've rescued that dog how many times now?
Yeah, the dog. That dog has a habit of finding its way over here, likely because it wants
Yeah.
to live with Donnie. Just like, yeah. The one time he wandered over and like he had his like walking leash on him still. So people were like, "Hey, whose dog is this?" Like it's got to be somebody on the lot. Took us 2 seconds to figure it out. Where it's like, oh yeah, here we go again.
Well, he was here for like a couple hours the one night. Like he was literally up front hanging out with the lot crew for like most of the night.
Yeah. Hey, Rob, remember that that other dog story from this year with the lost dog?
What lost dog?
So there was a dog that wandered. He literally nuzzled up the zipper and escaped from his tent.
Oh,
And,
wow.
yeah, it came wandering, and like we walked to the back lot looking for the owner of this dog. Nothing. Nobody. And I'm talking, this is like 3:30 in the morning. So I look at this dog and I'm like, I guess we're living together now. So like I got him into the trailer and all. And I'm like, I guess lay down. This dog was not having it. Just like, so confused. And eventually the people woke up all wondering where their dog is. Wolf was the name of the dog. So I'm out there catching a smoke and I hear somebody yell, "Wolf! Wolf!" I'm like, there's either a wolf in the back lot or this dog's name's Wolf.
Was that the dog that had the light up collar?
Maybe. I can't remember that detail, but
Because there was one dog with a light up collar, and me and Donovan were sitting there, and it just kept running away from the owners. So at one point, I walked back and I gave him a squeaky ball, and I said, "Here, like if he runs away again, you can squeak this, and maybe he'll come back." And the lady asked me if there were drugs in it.
Oh my
I ain't
God.
falling for this shit again.
Oh,
Never take a chew ball from a stranger. That old tale.
Yeah, well, listen, we've all fallen for that one.
Dave, Leah says you need to mention the Uber incident at John Waters.
Oh, good Lord. 2 girls came to John Waters and they walked in and we just checked their tickets and we're like, you don't have a car? They're like, yeah, we're going to get a ride. I'm like, oh, okay. So we just assumed that they were meeting somebody who was already here.
Yeah.
Like, okay. So we're standing there and some dude pulls up to the gate and we're like, do you have a ticket? And he's like, no, Uber. And I'm like, Uber? And he's like, yeah, Uber. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? So I called over the radio and got you, Virgil, and you were mad because you thought I was saying somebody was there with Uber Eats.
Yes.
And you were like, tell them to F off. You can't do that. I mean, they're like, no, I don't. So it was, these girls had called this dude for a ride. And he's like, Sheila? And I'm like, I'm obviously not Sheila. So I'm trying to explain to him what the hell's going, like why I'm so confused. And he's looking at me like, why are you confused? And I'm like, dude,
like this ain't a thing.
This ain't a so he pulled over and then I guess managed to get a hold of these 2 girls. And he comes up and then he turns around and tries to drive out the gate and said, yeah, they canceled the Uber. And I'm like, well, you can't drive out this way. It's the entrance. He's like, well, how do I get out? I'm like, go over. Oh my God. So what, like an hour later, those 2 girls come up to the gate and we're like, hey, what you doing? They're like, oh yeah, we're here waiting for our Uber. And I'm like, what the?
Stop doing that.
I'm like, first of all, it was you, obviously. And second of all, how are you getting an Uber up here? I don't understand that.
We are in the middle of nowhere.
It's dedication. That's what I love.
Oh my God! I think
on horseback if they have.
There are some parts I think they just got electricity.
They They definitely took advantage of our customer service because at one point it was like, "Hey, can I leave my purse here?"
Oh no, that
Was-
was yeah,
Oh, was
that
that
was
different people?
that was a totally different girl, a completely different girl.
Oh, there was
Who,
two other girls that also came without a car.
well, there was like, well, no, you're right. It was one of the girls that came without the car, and so she got a signed poster, and it was rainy that day. So I was like, listen, I don't want your post to get ruined. We can keep your poster in the booth. She's like, oh, that's so nice of you. I'm sure, no problem. And then she came up later with something else and said, do you mind if I put this in the booth too? And I'm like, okay, okay. And then she came up later and said, yeah, we have an Uber coming and we're going to run out and get something and like go to like, they wanted to go to like Walmart or something.
Yes.
And I'm like, all right, can I store my purse in the booth while we're there? I'm like, what the hell?
This
I'm
wasn't
like,
part of the deal.
I'm like, I thought I was being nice, but apparently you've moved in.
That happens. You're nice to someone, and then they up the ante, and you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah. Well, and you know, you got to remember, this isn't like a regular movie going experience where it's like, all right, 2 hours and they're gone. These
Right.
people are around sometimes for the whole entire weekend. So many times people will gravitate to the kindness and be like, you know, you're their touchstone now.
It's like you did me a favor, so now I think you're indebted to me for
I
the
now
rest of
we
your
are now
life.
one.
Like it's not like that Chinese thing where like I've saved your life and now I
The reverse.
no, I don't want it. It's
By the way, haven't we had someone order pizza at the gate? Like,
Yes.
we had to turn them away. Like, they pulled like a Spicoli from Fast Times, and we're like, no, I don't think
Mr.
so.
Hand.
well, we did have somebody order Uber Eats this year, and we gave them hell, and they were like, "Oh, I'll never do that again." I'm like,
Yeah.
like, what kind of entitled mindset would make you do it in the first place? Like,
Yeah.
I don't go to the ballpark and order Uber Eats to bring me food in.
Yeah.
I assume I enjoy that which is there.
It happened like 3 or 4 times this year from
Yeah.
multiple places.
Yeah, I think that's just like a growing thing with drive-ins now. Now that we're in this future state of people getting what they want instantly.
Right. Right.
Like someone ordered pizza from the local pizza place, and they of course thought it was for us because we sometimes order pizza,
But we work there.
and they're like, "Oh yeah, hey, I got you guys order." What order?
Maybe that's the rule from now on. Is if somebody orders the pizza, you guys keep it. That's the tax.
We do
What
have
Mr. Hand did in Fast Times, right? He ate the pizza in front of Spicoli.
Mr. Hand. Yeah.
But that's
like-
it. If you drive through the gate and do not even attempt to hide the food that you're bringing in, there's a tax, man. Okay, I mean we'll turn and look the other way, but
You're
you
like,
know,
I like cheese curls too.
Oh, I've absolutely done it for some of the people who like blatantly have like 3 pizzas on their lap. Like, hey, there's a tax for me to not tell the concession stand. And they just laugh and drive past me, and I'm like, oh, you thought I was joking.
Yeah, they always think we're what the hell. We remember you.
Well, we could definitely roll all night. I'm trying to think, like, I was gonna say like pet peeves and things like that. Mark, what do you think?
I've got a couple. Tell us about the instances where a customer arrives at the Mahoning Drive-In Theater in Lehighton, Pennsylvania, fully believing they are at a different drive-in. One of which is 30 minutes away. The other is about 45 to 50 minutes away.
Oh, God.
You mean the Shank the Shankweiler's customer?
Oh, it
We get the
happened during
Beckys and the
trauma.
Shanks all the time.
It happened during trauma.
Oh God, no.
It did. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut anyone off, but yeah, I just remember happened during trauma. There's this car pulls up, and I'm like, "Oh, hey, how many tickets do you need?" "Oh, no, just the girl. She's meeting her friends in there." There's a 13-year-old girl in the back seat.
You're like, there's no way. There's no
And
way.
I'm just like, "Are you sure?" He's like, "Well, yeah. Like you're meeting your friends here, right?" "Yeah, we're gonna watch Minion." Oh, you're definitely not in the right
No,
place.
no.
Like I didn't even have like a better way to say it. I just, like, no, you're definitely not in the right
Over
place.
my dead body.
See, Rob, I didn't train you well enough. You should have just said, sure, just drop her off, let her
And
go
then-
in. A lot
like-
of minions.
Gotta initiate these kids somehow. You know?
Yep.
But yeah, like you're definitely not in the right place. Well, this is Becky's, right? No, this is the Mahoning drive-in.
I'm telling you.
She'll meet some minions, some subs, some doms, some.
Look, I couldn't do that to that kid.
Some people that would want to.
I was traumatized at that show.
I just don't understand how, like, maybe I'm just so phone dependent and GPS dependent. When I go anywhere I've never been or haven't been in a while, I just punch it in. So they have to be aware that there is a drive-in, that they remember being somewhere and they believe we are it. But the thing is that maybe they see the listings for Becky's, which generally runs family. For the Becky's and Shankweiler's, Shankweiler's is a mix of first run and retro. Becky's is all first run and mostly family friendly. I agree. And I don't understand how you would come to our place not knowing that it's not the other two. And it's been like that. Like when I worked the gate, that happened. Like it's always happened. It happens a few times a year, but it's just, boy, are they often at very much the wrong location.
I told you the story about the family that showed up at Boogie Nights.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah. I'm like, I don't know if this is the right movie because there's like little kids in the back seat.
No.
You're like very open parenting.
I'm like, this is incredibly progressive, but let me double check. And they're like, yeah, we're here to see Inside Out too. And I'm like, whoa, no.
You'll be seeing some Inside Out, all right.
Yeah, I mean, it's like your kids are going to discover a whole new emotion they're not ready for. So, yeah, that
Even
happens.
Back in the days when Patrick was running the gate early on, Exhumed did like an Italian cannibal night. It was like really extreme 70s, 80s Italian horror. And a family with kids showed up. And he was like, yeah, you don't want to come here. I'm not selling you a ticket. You just need to leave. And they might have known that we were the Mahoning and they were just rolling up thinking probably we were first run. And you always know you're in trouble when somebody says, so what's playing tonight? Because they generally are not ready for what we're going to tell them. Although,
my favorite story on that one was Real Weird Weekend when we were showing
Jodorowsky.
the Jodorowsky films, and it was like El Topo and
Holy Mountain. Yep.
These two like late middle-aged people pull up and they're like, so what are you showing? And I'm like, really? You didn't purposely?
How do I describe this?
How do you?
And I was like, well, El Topo's kind of like a Western.
Oh boy.
And so we were like, but these are a little, and they're like, no. So they bought their ticket, and we were sitting there at the gate, and it was Will and John and I placing bets on who was going to be the first people out, and if it was going to be them, and it was. I think they listen.
They won.
I'll give them credit. I think they made it 15 minutes.
Nice.
So I can only imagine the conversation in that car. Holy mackerel.
I love that so much. Like, you know, we're either going to win these people for life or they will be traumatized talking about this around their Christmas table.
Oh, yeah. That is a story that they will tell forever. Like
one of our very, very, very few negative reviews is just the movies you play suck. And I wonder which weekend they came and they were just like,
well, we are demonic. Don't forget that.
That's right. Yeah.
100%. Hopefully our souls will be saved in time. But it's funny. I can speak to that, you know, people showing up to the wrong place. So I got this when I ran the vineyard as well. When you head down into like closer to Philly, people are shocked that there is a vineyard like in Pennsylvania at all. I get that same exact reaction with the drive-in. They're like, drive-ins are still around? So I think they see like a news piece or some coverage from one of the drive-ins, assume it's the only drive-in in the area, and they just search drive-in and boom, they're showing up to us. You know?
Dave, didn't we have some people that rolled up to the gate and It was before sundown, and they were like, "Is this the drive-in? What's going on? What's the fuss?" Because they could see the cars, and we were just like baffled. Their attitude was like they didn't come in, but they were just like they pulled over to talk to us and ask what the fuss was all about.
I've had that. Well, my new favorite question this year is, where's the screen? Um,
Oh God!
that's the new one that's just started popping up this year.
It happened a couple of times.
Yeah, it's like they pull in and they're like literally beside the screen, and they're like, "Where's the screen?" And I'm like,
Mhm. Turn around. It's a learning curve. Like, that's why I love you guys at the gate, is your willingness to hold people's hands even when it is the most absurd of questions. You're
And
like,
it's like, well, I'll tell you what, just pull in there, and when you see which way all the cars are pointing, point that way. So,
Although these days, so many people back in, they might be staring at the back of the lot, wondering where
It's
the
like-
screen is.
Look, you got a 50-50 chance.
yeah, it's
And
true.
even if you pull your
better
car in wrong,
flip a coin, man.
you're still properly oriented to see the screen.
Or we've had people who've come up to us and asked for a refund because they didn't know that the movies were going to start that late.
yeah, 6 o'clock it said on the ticket. Like, what's going on?
Yeah,
It's
the ticket.
6:45.
The ticket's at 6 o'clock. Why aren't
That's
the
too
movies
late.
starting at 6 o'clock? And it's like,
The sun is still up.
it's like,
It's a learning curve, like
Yeah.
we really are here to hold the hand. It's one of those fine lines and fine dances,
There
Yeah.
was a good story, Dave. I think you told me positive. Somebody being surprised at what we were showing. I think it was at Camp Blood. Do you remember what I'm talking about? A couple was in the area and they heard that there was a drive-in. They had no idea what we were playing, and they came.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Take it away.
Wait, no, I just remember that. That's all I got. No, but seriously, yeah, they were a big fan of some movie, right? They had no idea, and they kind of just stumbled on the drive-in. It was like the coolest newbies you ever had to the Mahoning. That they loved the movies, and just by chance, because you're used to the story. I saw the doc. I drove this many miles. I'm from out of state. Yada yada, and this was just like, wait, you're playing what? I love those movies. And then you hit them with, not only that, we got it was like a carnival act. I was like, not only do we have these great movies,
Behind door number 3,
right.
we got the stars.
We've got great food. We've got celebrity signings. And it just blew their effing mind. They were just beside themselves. And it was the coolest. Yeah, for sure. This past season, the coolest newbies we had.
yeah,
Because it was just by chance. And they were like, "Oh, we're coming back next year. That was the best time ever." They thanked everybody. That totally.
Yeah, nice.
that
people.
honestly is one of the perks of working at the gate, is that you do honestly get to meet everybody as they come in, and you do get a lot of like new people who've never been there before. This is their first trip to a drive-in, and they're just so excited about the experience, and it really. I think it takes some of the jaded out of times, because I mean, we've been to the Mahoning 1,000 times, but to see the excitement of someone who is pulling in here for the first time, you're just like, wow, this is a first experience for them, and it's fun. It really is a nice experience, and that kind of makes it all pay off in a sense.
Oh God, yeah.
That's true.
That newbie excitement is contagious.
Yeah.
Make up for the long hours, the late nights, the crappy weather, whatever it is. Those the people make up for it for sure. And at the other end, when you have to jump their cars, because no doubt they've run their batteries and their headlights have been on and off all night, and you come to the rescue, you jump their battery, and they'll usually say, "Does this happen often?" That's when you know they're new. Have you been to a drive-in before? Does this happen a lot?
You're so apologetic. You're just like,
Right?
look, this is so part of the bag. Yeah, I gotta ask. Like, I know it can be a thorn in the side, but it's got to be a thrill to be people's hero and save their night. Am I right? Or does it overweigh with just the sheer number of runs you have to do.
It depends on how many. I think when
Like
you
that
hit
wears
6 or
quick.
7, yeah, after 6 or 7, that thrill is worn off.
Yeah.
But or when you get that one car that we did, I think we had 2 that were like hybrids. Did we have a
that we
hybrid
just couldn't figure out.
it set fire like there was smoking from the battery?
Yes.
Well, those are the real fun ones. The ones whose batteries are so absolutely corroded that they're like absolutely just caked with the green corrosion, and you have to like scrape off the corrosion to get to the contact point. And you're like looking at your hands afterwards, realizing you're walking around with toxic pixie dust all over your hands. Like I wonder why my sandwich tastes so tangy. It like tingles on my tongue.
Yeah, little added something. Yeah, new cars have this thing too of like hiding the batteries or not giving you something to connect to. You got to ground it to something random.
You got to connect it to this piece of metal, but don't you dare connect it to this piece of metal, which is right beside it and looks very similar, because then you're going to blow the computer.
Well, you have to have a degree in computer engineering, read the manual to know how to turn the damn lights off now, too.
It's insanity. It's insanity.
It's the thing about it is car makers are focused on making their cars as safe as possible for the humans who drive them, who they assume are getting dumber and dumber and dumber. And so I appreciate that because drive-ins aren't as prevalent as they once were, there's no thought given to these idiots may eventually go to a drive-in. But what happens is they get there and you're like, can you please turn your lights off? And they go, I have no idea. And it's like there's literally got to be a way to turn the lights off.
Just hands up, but nope, not happening.
Or they're like, listen, I have no clue. Literally, this car lights up like a disco whenever I get within 5 feet of it.
The biggest thing we would want to tell people, especially if you're thinking about coming out to the Mahoning, read your owner's manual.
Yes, the Lot Crew will be your best friend.
We don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of all the car makes and models. We don't know how to turn every single thing off. If you have any idea how to help us, it makes it go 1,000 times faster.
Yeah, and for the love of God, Google it before you come. And or like the one or the other ones that's a fun one now too is like the car that when you get out of the car, the interior light stays on for like 5 friggin' minutes because it wants to make sure that not only are you like have walked into your house, but have already brushed your teeth and gone to bed before the interior light turns off.
Yeah, that's true.
And then it's like they get out of their car and the light's on, and then it finally clicks off, and then they get back in their car, and it's like. Dude, listen, either figure out how to turn the interior light off or organize what the hell you need to get out of the car and make it one trip.
Life on the lot, y'all. Life on the lot. You know, like I say, collect all these stories up. The book is going to rock.
Oh, yeah. It's a dirty job, but someone's got to do it.
Right.
Dave's got the title, I believe.
Why is everything always wet?
The Lot Crew story.
Now, in addition to all of the other duties, Donny is known as sort of the button master. Facilitate some pretty amazing and very from where I'm sitting, I can see several that I have been gifted that are really amazing inside jokes that you had to be there for. But also, you took it upon yourself to decorate the lot for John Waters weekend, and it was one of the most unique decoration jobs I can remember. And it was a lot of, maybe you could describe what exactly you did to make it all that more pizzazzy for that.
Watersy.
12 suction cup dildos entered the lot that weekend, and 0 were left by Sunday. I don't know what happened. I planned on taking them back and making sure none were hanging around for Christine, but they all found good homes.
Not surprising at John Waters weekend. Look, you bring a suction cup dildo to the lot. Somebody's taking that thing.
They were everywhere.
They literally
Inside the
were
snack bar,
everywhere.
outside in the projection booth, and
Oh,
I
it
was
was the
like,
best.
"This is great." There can't be any of these for the next
We
show.
were doing the car show the next night, and we were like, "Yeah, we don't want the guys from the car show like walking around the
Like,
lot
we know
trying
we're
to get
missing
dildo."
one of these, you know. Some
If we could
kid
only
walks by
get-
and catches it.
If we could only get rid of the lot cats that quickly.
Well, what did Bob
If-
Barker say? Spade and neuter your pets.
Attach a dildo to them.
Yeah.
It's,
Don't
Put a
remember
suction
that
cup.
one.
Well, they were like hidden in the friggin' porta johns. I mean, it's
Oh, I love
On the
it.
side of Ms. Pac-Man, on the side of the giant outdoor popcorn bucket.
Oh, yeah.
Everywhere. On
There-
Bruno's head.
there was one on the
Unicorn.
like on the booth out front.
Everyone you list, I know exactly who it went home with.
You
Well-
did tell me though you had a list, a physical
They're all like
on
your
phone,
children, right?
a list of where they all were, so that you made sure they were all gone.
Yeah, and at the end of the
Good
night, there are these really cool older kind of hippie ladies that come out just for John Waters, and
Oh, they're the
I just
best.
kept sticking them to their van, and they were just over the moon to have a keepsake from the night.
Drove off the lot like it was an antenna on their car.
Yeah.
I
Keep
went to
keep
see
giving.
John Waters live, and all I got was this lousy suction cup dildo.
Dildo.
What other drive-in? What other drive-in can say that?
No,
And
hell yeah.
I don't think that John himself got to see any. I was gonna stick one on his trailer, but I thought that Harry would get mad.
well, and you wouldn't have gotten close because that trailer had airtight security.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep, Dave got to protect that door. Ain't nobody getting through here.
Mm-mm.
That's one. See, it's a multi. You don't know what your role entirely is going to be on the lot crew. Is it?
Yeah.
Is it
True.
checking in people at the gate? Is it dealing with an emergency? Is it helping with flood mitigation? Is it John
up a
Waters
stage,
security?
lighting.
Guarding an empty trailer.
Lock trailer.
I had a roadie, Tim Capello, the
Yes.
sax guy from the Lost Boys.
Dude, he was a treat.
He
Right?
was awesome.
So no, I didn't oil him down, but someone told me
That was
they
bad.
needed- yeah,
Let's
someone
start
said
that
on the
rumor.
radio, we need to get him to the stage out front. So he decides he wants to go through the exit, the clown. What is it called? The clown.
The clown house.
Clown house, the back end of the snack bar. And I said, okay, I got a flashlight. It's raining out. The crowd's going nuts, which I still couldn't believe that crowd. It was insane in the rain.
Man, one of the best.
So I just wanted to make sure I got him to the stage and he didn't fall in a pothole. So I said, I'll walk ahead of you with a flashlight. I'll keep it on the ground there and, try to avoid potholes. And he's like, pothole, schmotholes, get me to that stage.
Let's
So
go.
I tried to go the shortest way possible. He decided he was going to snake through the audience the longest way possible and get us even more wet
Give him a
his
shove.
way to the stage. Finally got him up to the stage. He didn't trip, got him up, and I'm like, okay, my job is done. So, yeah, we don't often get to mingle with the celebs, but that was a fun moment.
Yeah, it's these moments on the lot, you really never know what you're gonna get on any given weekend. There's these standards, but that's really the fun of this job, I guess you can. It's hard to call it a job, but it is such an adventure every single night. Mark, anything else, or should I go around the horn and have them give like a choice story, or save that for another one? I don't know.
I'm all for choice stories. The only other thing I had we just touched on was celebrity encounters. Did any of you have any favorite celebrity / guests that came? I know a lot of the times I always feel bad. You guys are stuck on the lot. If it's a busy show, you're doing triple time, being everywhere at once. But we try to make time or relieve you guys so you can come in and meet the guests if you want to. Did you have any particular favorites over the last year or so?
You guys always take care of us. Usually, you'll reach out to us towards the end of the night and say, hey, we got an opportunity. And that's usually when Darryl will like hook me by the arm and go, come on, Dave, let's go. And so, I mean, that's always appreciated. And listen, to me this year, my holy grail, the one that I really was amazing to meet, were the guests from Camp Blood, Adrian King and Amy Steele. I mean, that's, to me, those are icons in my life. And the fact that I got to meet them was just mind blowing to me. So that's my, amazing story from this year.
How about you, Darryl?
The one I wanted to talk about was Nick from Found Footage Fest.
Yeah, baby.
So I love those guys, and they regularly are at the Mahoning for VHS Fest every year. So randomly, I'm parking cars for, I think it was Camp Blood.
Mm-hmm.
And out of nowhere, Nick comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, Darryl, how's it going?" I was like, "Whoa!" I was just surprised. I was like, "What are you doing here?" He's just a regular customer. He was there with his girlfriend to see the movies, and what was he wearing? He was wearing something odd.
Full camo. He was in full camo.
Now I didn't get the joke at first, right?
Yes.
He was wearing full camo. I'm like, that's interesting. Did he just get done, doing paintball somewhere? And obviously, it was a nod to Friday. What's number 8? Number 6?
5.
I forget.
Yes, 5.
It's one of the Friday the 13th films. So it was cool that he remembered me and he said hi and we chatted for a bit and he walked over to the snack bar. So at some point I make my way back up to the booth and I mention it to John and John's like, "Oh, I love that. You just saw, where's Nick?" And he's like, "I love those guys." And I said, "Well, he's actually just here with his girlfriend for the movies. And I don't know why he's wearing camo." Right. So I said, "I know how we can find him. He is a great pug lover. He has a pug. That's his favorite breed of dog. And we love dogs. John's got one too. Cowboy, right?
Yep.
Cowboy's his pug." I said, "You know what? Let's give Cowboy a little walk. We'll lure him out."
We'll lure him with the dog.
With the dog. That's what we did. And it worked. And it was so funny.
Like a magnet to that pug.
Right? I said, "Nick, this is not good. We could have mugged you. We could have been like taking the dog out for a walk." And then Nick comes out to see the dog and we thump him and take his wallet.
Is it the old pug mug?
The pug mug. So that was a fun, odd, random kind of moment with a minor celeb. Nick from Found Footage Fest. Great guy.
How about you, Rob? Anything pop?
Honestly, like guest wise, like I have to say my favorite one the past few years was Tim Capello. Like especially after his show, like helping him pack up all of his stuff and like,
so cool. Yeah,
dude, I talked to him for like 3 hours after his show, helping him pack his stuff up. And we talked just about like his career, relationships, just stuff going on. We just had a nice long like conversation you would have between two friends, and it was great. Dude was super cool, and honestly probably one of the best experiences I've had with a guest that we've had.
I love moments like that. Mark talked about, he got some time with Fabio before he left, just chatting it up. It's one of my first core memories at the Mahonings when we had Zach Galligan and we sat not directly under the screen, but kind of like at the top of the hill, and he was just telling me stories from being on set of Gremlins 2, and that girl right there, she was constantly hitting on me, and I was like, what world is this? Yeah. How about you, Donny? You're not super into the superstars, but do you have any ones that choice memories that pop?
Not in particular. I actually only I talked to William Ragsdale and Stephen Jeffries, and it was just like talking to like dudes their age.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just like, I did that thing. It's crazy. People still love it. It's cool though.
That's why we're blessed with the guests. Like we have such down to earth celebrities. Even our humongous celebrities are so like down with the cause and what we do and what we represent, and that's why I think the reputation has grown so much. Every single celebrity that leaves just starts raving about it. I mean, clearly, I see Adrian still posting pictures from Camp Blood and the experience the girls had there.
As you leave the theater, folks, please be careful. Don't let this happen to your car. Be sure to remove the speaker before you leave. If you should accidentally pull a speaker loose, please turn it in at our snack bar or box office. Thank you.
Well, guys, we could go all night. I can't thank you all enough for your endless dedication and mileage that you've put in. Darryl, where are you at now with your movie log and how many movies you've seen on the moment?
I think I'm at 370, so I'm sure I'll hit 400. I mean, I don't get to watch the movies as much anymore now that I'm working, but yeah, 370 rolling into next season, and
Amazing.
looking forward to the upcoming. What were the pre-shows called again? The road shows.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Really looking forward to getting together with you guys anytime, whether it's a convention, the road show, or otherwise. So stay tuned to the socials. Stay tuned through the Patreon. Patreon's a great way to keep your finger on the pulse and support the Mahoning when the lights are dark and the portholes are closed. Really does help pay the bills in the off season. So thanks again, guys. Such a treat. And on that note, Jeff, take it away, my friend.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks again for coming out tonight to the Mahoning Drive-In Theater. We hope you'll come back and see us again real soon. The exit is on the right-hand side of the screen at the front of the field, and most importantly, have a very safe trip home. Good night and God bless you.